Okay, so this is the free Q&A call that I wanted to offer about Kajabi and about 5 days to confidence on camera and about basically anything you want to ask me about being on camera or creating an online business. That's what we're here for. The 28-day challenge as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here with you today. I'm wearing a sweater here in Brooklyn because it's that weird, like it's spring, but it's not spring and it's cold outside. So I was like, what should I even like, people are going to watch this and be like, what are you wearing, Elissa? But it's cold here, just so you know. So, okay. So Christina, you asked a great question about swallowing on camera, which I'm excited to talk about. Terry asked a question on the community about funnels, which I don't know exactly what Terry wants to know, but I will certainly talk about funnels in Kajabi. Oh, Terry, you're here. I was just talking about you. Welcome. I'm just going to go ahead and mute you. So if I can do that, sometimes it's confusing. Terry, if you can mute yourself, go ahead. It's not showing me. Oh, there we go. I did it. Okay, so can we actually start, if you guys are comfortable with being on camera, can we start with a little round robin, and can you just introduce yourself and say what you do and what you're creating? Steve, I'm writing down your question about email lists. Good. Ask any questions you have out loud, because I think actually most of the questions we have are from people on the line right now. So let's just do a little like round robin check-in. Maybe I will actually switch us into gallery view so we can see each other at the same time. And let's go ahead and introduce ourselves and say what we do or what we want to be doing and why we're here. Sound good? Who wants to go first? Hi, people. Go ahead, Steve. Hi, Jessica. We're just unmuting ourselves.
All right.
To introduce ourselves. So Steve's turn.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
My name is Steve, and I am a remodeling contractor by trade the last 13 years. And I have kind of realized that I would like to reach more people than I can in my direct area. So trying to help, young contractors be able to start up and run a business, how to communicate with customers. And so now I am within like the last probably 6 to 8 months, I am, I'm trying to have an online presence. I am trying to make YouTube videos, and my first YouTube video I made was I replayed it. Actually, I hit start and pause and then erase many times. I would go back and I'm going, oh my gosh, I look like I'm stiff as a board, and who's going to watch this? And so I got to a point where somebody has told me, said, just record it. They said it will get better as time goes on. And it was, they were right. It gets better and it gets easier to talk to the camera. But the problem was I never did name my camera. So I didn't have anybody directly to talk to.
I forgot I muted myself, but I was just like, there you go. Once you name your camera, everything
gets better. So just like you said, I was like,
anything in 5 days to confidence on camera.
So I really want, because I do realize the importance of the first impressions. And if you don't make those good first impressions, then it's very hard to lure somebody back in towards you. I do feel like I have a good presence with my customers, just like one-on-one. I can sell myself. So I think it's very possible for me to sell myself online or in a video. It's just a different dynamic. And I would like to be able to overcome those fears that I guess they are fears at first, but just overcome that being able to understand that this camera right up here is my audience. I mean, my audience is a further reach, but in order to get to that further reach, I'm speaking right into this, speaking to a camera. So, Elissa, when I came, I think I came across you through Kajabi, because I'm a current Kajabi member. So I think through Kajabi, and I honestly don't know. I think that's what it was.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So yes. So anyways, so I have started my site. I am working on a product. I've kind of dabbled in Kajabi. I have I just don't know, like with email lists. I was told to get ConvertKit for like an email list. I don't know if that is, somebody told me that Kajabi can handle everything that ConvertKit can.
You don't need ConvertKit, no.
Okay. So yes. So if I'm paying for a service and it's all in one, I want to be able to use that.
Yep.
But there's so many avenues in this online arena, and it just trying to figure out what's actually needed. And then again, when you're making a video, just how to knock it out of the park, not how to, just, I guess, how to convey your emotion.
Okay, I'll write that down.
To your target. I think if you believe in something, that is much easier to sell than something you don't. I think all of us on here, we wouldn't be on here if we don't have something important to say. So to have that comfort level, and just being comfortable. I think this whole thing is you're trying to market as being comfortable on camera.
Yeah.
And trying to help people with being comfortable and finding your voice, but just not speaking like this.
Yeah. For sure. Amazing, Steve. Thank you for sharing all of that. And yeah, that's great. Okay, let's hear from another person who wants.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Go, Eric.
Hey, how are you? Steve, it's I'm following you because it's actually an interesting story, but I tell people I'm a recovering executive, and I was an executive at a design build company for 20 years. And I got out because it was, sort of the same thing as you. I was like, I feel like I probably have a lot more that I can share with a broader audience. And, I found Elissa, I think through like YouTube or something. And I'm very similar. I have no problem in one-on-one interactions, especially with clients and things like that. But when it comes to being on camera, I think it's more about knowing what it is you want to say and what it is you want to get across in the time that you have. So, without kind of jumping all over the place and going on all of these different tangents, that was that's my biggest challenge. And in the same way, sort of in this online arena, there's so much that we can get involved in, and it's deciding what is it, what is that one thing that you really think you can help somebody else in terms of, what would make a difference in their life. So, I'm here because I am actually curious about a lot of the technical, issues or things with Kajabi. So I'll have some questions for that, particularly like, for example, in this 28-day challenge, if in those 28 days, if you don't finish whatever it is you want to put together, what happens to your materials, or what happens to anything like in terms of your progress? So
I can answer that question really fast right now.
Oh, okay.
You start paying and then you keep doing it.
Okay. All right. Easy enough.
The 28-day challenge it's 28 days of training videos, and I'm actually going through them with you guys right now. If any of you are getting the actual daily emails, I'm going through it with you right now and giving you like a synthesis of what I think is helpful about each day. And if you're not on that sequence yet, there's like almost too many things right now. So I promise you, I'll send you an email where I organize it really clearly for you. I'm like, if you want to do this, this is this. But the 28-day challenge is training videos that Kajabi made. So Tony at Kajabi, who's awesome, I really like Tony, he made these training videos that walk you through Kajabi, kind of like you're watching daily tutorials, but like in a really practical way where they build upon each other so you actually get somewhere by the end of the 28 days. If for some reason you miss, or so the reason it's a 28-day challenge is because you get 28 days for free. And then on the 29th day, they charge your credit card. But you've been in your account the entire time. It's all still there for you. And you just keep building and keep using the resources. And I have to imagine, if I had to guess, I can't necessarily pull people because that's their information, not mine. But I would guess that a lot of people don't do the 28-day challenge perfectly. You just do it as well as you can. And then you figure it out from there. I mean, I figured out Kajabi on my own 3 years ago when I first started using it. I wrote in the the email that I wrote today for the 28-day challenge, where the people at the crest of the wave are on day 4 right now, just so you know, we're on day 4 of the challenge. And I was writing about, because today's thing was all about like how you can tweak things inside your products. And it reminded me of like how many hours, I can't count them, that I've spent in Kajabi rabbit holes, just like playing with colors and fonts and organization and everything. And I love that. That's probably part of the reason that I do what I do. It's like, also I love being here and teaching you guys about voice stuff, but I also love that, which is, I don't think if I didn't love that, I couldn't do that part of my business. So it's fun, in my opinion.
Okay. No, very cool.
I'll say more about it, but yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Thanks, Eric. It's so good to see you in person. Eric's like master commenter. Like, we're always talking. So it's so great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
For sure.
Right,
okay, who else wants to share? Yeah, go ahead. Christina.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. I think your video went away though. You might have pressed that.
I just clicked the mute button, but that's okay. I'm in a dark room anyway.
Okay, that's okay. You can talk. That's fine. I'm cool with it.
Oh, it says start video down here. Shall I click that?
Press that button. I bet you it'll do exactly what you want it to do.
Oh, it says it can't see my camera for some reason.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway,
well,
I don't know what happened. So I'm Christina Monroe, and I used to be, well, once an engineer, always an engineer, in the residential building world for a good part of my career. And I got just really disgruntled, or not disgruntled, but dismayed at how buildings were being constructed. And that's kind of a long story. So eventually I decided to build my own house completely off the grid and completely natural and self-sustaining. So I did that with my family. And then a few years ago, I decided people were getting really excited about, they would come up to the house and they're like, how did you do that? And so ultimately I wrote a book. And, but then I wrote a book and then like nothing happened, right? Because I had to promote it myself. And so I was trying to figure out a way to get this information to people. So the next step was about a year ago, I thought, I need to take this online. So it's been a journey, but I'm really just getting started with my very first course. And I took the book because it had I wrote a memoir, so it's the story. But then within the memoir, these technical inserts, or not so technical inserts, they're really geared towards homeowners, who want to build their own homes. So, so I took those technical inserts and I've created my first kind of, seed launch is what I'm, to get started, to get feedback, and then I'll build out a bigger course to help people. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just building my list and getting that first course going. And I've taken the 28-day challenge twice.
Okay, yes.
Because you still have access to it. And then they did that breakthrough challenge. So that's where I got it. So I'm really not going through the 28-day challenge right now, but I got your email anyway. And I'm just sort of this informational sponge right now. Like, webinar on that, you got it. I'll do it. So.
That sounds great. You can even just get my daily emails and be like, oh, yes, that thing that I already know. It can just remind you. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of information.
It's so cool. I love it. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, just the, you know all this stuff about your profession and what you want to have to offer, and then you get into this world and there's this whole other body of information to learn, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Sometimes it feels like my head's going to explode.
Yes.
I like you. I love the Kajabi platform, and it's such a joy to work on it, and then it lets me really express my creative side. So
yeah. I'm so with you there. Yeah, I would have never, you guys may have seen me write these words in places. I would have never even approached Kajabi about creating 5 days to confidence on camera together if I wasn't like the biggest super fan of this platform. I just love, and the like spirit and quality of the company, because part of what impressed me early on when I was doing all my research in 2015, it was before I started building my course in 2016, my first course, was I was really excited that it was a platform where they didn't own your intellectual property when you uploaded your videos. That actually is an issue that you can run into in other places online. But B, like I would have ideas of like, oh, I wish that they could do this. Like, I wish I didn't have to have MailChimp separate from Kajabi. And then sure enough, like that one took a little bit longer, but just even little teeny things, like I wish that button was in a better place. 6 weeks later, the button was in a better place. And like I had sent an email saying, hey, could the button be in a better place? And they listened to me. So that's part of why I became such a Kajabi super fan, is I was like, wow, they're really building a platform for us and they really want to support us. And then, and then I was like, I can help by doing the confidence on camera side of things. So anyway, yes, I'm so excited for you, Christina. It is a whole world. Your brain will indeed explode in this world. I agree. Mine does too.
Yeah. And being on camera is I don't even like to have my picture taken. So like to be on camera just really was, but it happens. You just do it. You do it and you post it and you're like, okay, the next one will be better, because if you're waiting for perfection, it'll never be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it will get better and better, but
yes,
don't wait.
And also we're all going to be on camera a lot more often in the future, I think. Like, we're living like technology. I mean, we don't even know how and when our image is being captured all the time. So it's just a reality to start, letting that happen. I mean, I can disclose to you right now that your image is being captured as we speak. Those of you who are online, but it's something worth becoming, just like you used the word, Steve, comfortable, something worth becoming comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And also if we have issues around privacy, we can also have those conversations too. That's fair. But, okay. Does, Jessica or Terry, do either of you want to share? You're welcome to pass if you want to pass. Terry, you want to go? Okay. Jessica, you can be, and then actually, Mark, I know we can't see you, but you're of course welcome to share audio-wise as well.
Okay, I'll do this as long as I can until the dogs start barking.
Okay, that's fine.
I kind of switched careers from teaching music and doing music in the church and all of that, just wanting to delve into my dog training experience. And I love that so much. It took me to a different avenue of sport training. Well, I run agility with my own dog, so that's a dog sport. And from there, I had an injury and had to recover. And in doing so, I learned more about the dogs, the physical strain we put on dogs, and went to a seminar and was absolutely blown away with how we can strengthen our dogs to become athletes without injury. And it not only for athletes, but for any dog.
So you can hear this.
So
he's too far away. I can't get him. It's okay.
Oh.
My dog's over there.
Oh, I can't see.
I'll bring him. 1 second. Sorry, you're being summoned.
Anyway, so I became a certified canine fitness trainer. So I coach people to train. Oh, look at that!
You're going to be an athlete. Terry's going to teach you to be an athlete. Okay,
yeah.
I'm distracting from your.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm so not good on camera.
You're doing great.
Anyway, so basically, I teach people how to strengthen certain aspects of their dog's physique to help prevent injury, and it also not only for dog sports but for any active dog or any dog. It helps as they age. It keeps them stronger. So when they get arthritis, it supports the joints, and it's a lot less painful for them to age. Anyway.
Oh, so it's basically like kind of dog physical therapy.
Yes and no. Physical therapists have a whole different kind of medical background. Mm-hmm. And although I have observed physical therapy, and we do the exact same exercises on the exact same equipment, but I don't have the authority to make diagnosis.
That's fair.
So yeah, it's fair. But if they've been through an injury and they have clearance from their vet, I can work with them.
Cool.
Or if they just want to say, how can my dog isn't jumping high enough, or it's not jumping far enough, or it's we're knocking bars, or we're doing, just little things. But I work with the whole aspect of fitness. So my goal is to not only do workshops, which I do now, and I have a few on and off clients, private clients, but I would like to, I'm not sure if I'll have a training facility, because that ends up with, rent and
Overhead.
money you have to make, overhead, all of that commitment. But I definitely want to do online classes. And so Kajabi, I did buy into Kajabi. I'm not doing the 28-day challenge because I did the Black Friday deal, and it was such a good deal. So, but I've yet to, I've kind of tinkered around inside of Kajabi, but I haven't built my website yet. As I'm reading through the Kajabi Facebook page, I'm learning, people are asking questions, and I'm, that's a good question. How do you do the funnels, and when they're, how do you separate your audiences and things like that?
Totally.
So I'm just that informational sponge that somebody spoke about a minute ago.
So I might give you like a back end tour a little bit today. We'll see, because that's a cool question. So awesome, Terry. That's what you guys are so interesting. Everything that you're doing, like I say in the course that you watched, and I have said many times in my life, that the world wants your knowledge, and that is not lip service at all. That is so amazing that you are helping dogs age gracefully, and that's, a lot of people must be very grateful for your services, and there are more people who want it, I'm sure. That's the beauty of online. So amazing. I love that. We'll talk about funnels a little bit. Jessica, do you want to go before you're looking? This is my talent, is making everyone be on camera.
I have to get on camera for the thing about being on camera. So I have a creative background. Overall, like I grew up doing ballet and dance and all that stuff. So I have a performing arts background, and I, for my whole 20s, resisted getting a corporate job. And then I ended up working at a hedge fund as an office manager for 4 years in New York. And so I'm starting my business on helping women like in their early 30s break out of like a corporate job or corporate experience into whatever it is they want to do with their lives, and like become the boss of their life and kind of step into that role. So I am developing a one-on-one program for that. And I really want to help them do practical things in their life to just do the things they need to do in their life so that they can step up into those next levels of success. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm just developing the program right now. Yeah.
Yay! Amazing. Thank you for being here, Jessica. Here's the moment I have, just thinking about all the people who are not able to be on the line right now, and also all of us who are on the line. Our economy is shifting.
Yeah.
It is so incredible to hear all of the background that we all bring to this phone call right now, and all of the inspiration. And I mean, especially, I just hear like the Russian doll levels of this, because like Jessica, you've like been in corporate, and then you're teaching people how to transition out of corporate. And of course, what are people going to be doing when they're transitioning out of corporate? They're probably going to be doing something like this, like following their dreams and some passion that they want to share. So it's really inspiring to me just how all of this actually is just indicative of the fact that there is another way of having, there's another economic model, and it involves valuing each other's knowledge and seeking each other out for curated pieces of knowledge. And it does require, in order to participate in this knowledge commerce thing, which is what Kajabi calls it, we have to have a certain amount of familiarity and vocabulary with the technical tools, and also with the confidence to step in front of people and say, it's basically just on an energetic level, we're just raising our hand and saying, hey, I know something about that. I'm actually really good at that. I've become an expert at that in my lifetime. And if you want to talk about it, come on over here, because I've got a whole corner of the virtual/real world where I can interact with you on that question that you have. the conversations that I've been having with people as this, 5 days to confidence on camera thing has been rolling out, and this community of all of us has been assembling that I've gotten to have access to, I'm just inspired by what everyone is doing. It's so incredible. And I see the possibilities of like, if all of us are doing this work instead of working for like Coca-Cola and Philip Morris, like what the world could be, Namaste to Coca-Cola and Philip Morris, sort of, but like it's all good. But okay. So that's a little bit of a pep talk. Okay, let's get into some nitty gritty, shall we? And I'm sort of assuming at this moment that you guys know my story, but actually I'm having a moment where I'm like, maybe I should share with you a little bit more, especially around this. I bet you guys want to hear about from me too. Okay, let me share. So actually something, if you only found me recently through the 5 days to confidence on camera class, what you won't know is that there is a whole part of my history where I really needed to study voice. And the reason that happened is because I was using my voice very heavily. I'm a musical theater kid. I grew up tapping and singing and dancing and all that stuff and being in a lot of shows, if that's not readily apparent from my regular jazz hands. But I was doing a lot of that, and then I went to USC, to the University of Southern California, for my undergraduate degree. I was singing in an a cappella group. I was performing in a production of Company. I just met someone yesterday who saw the production of Company that I did my junior year of college. Crazy. Anyway, side note. And just doing like lots of performing type stuff. And I was pushing so hard vocally and also enjoying my college career so intensely, AKA drinking alcohol, that I had a vocal hemorrhage and severe onset of acid reflux, and I lost my voice my senior year. And there's more to say about that story, but essentially I had a vocal blowout, and everything that I'd taken for granted up to that point, I had to question, and I had to start asking myself, why does my voice work? Why was I getting leading roles in musicals? Like, what about my presence was people were wanting to put me on stage? I just started to really get curious about what had been working that now was not working as well. And as I started to get curious about that, I started to study voice, mostly from a theater background to start, because that's where I'd come from, but then also singing, of course. And then I'm a yogi and I'm a meditator, and I study Vedic philosophy. So there was a whole mindfulness, meditation, spirituality component that came in around presence especially, but also chanting and voice. And I just started to learn things that I wish people had taught me. And then I went to graduate school. I was living in California, which is where I grew up. Grew up in Northern California, but had been living in LA for close to a decade. Between my time at USC and afterwards. And I got into a graduate program at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. And just fun little story about that. All the people in Los Angeles were like, that's so cool, you're moving to Canada, how awesome. And all the people in Canada were like, why did you come here? So that was pretty funny. But I went to graduate school in Edmonton, which was amazing. I went there because there were a couple of really good mentors, and it was a program where I got to teach public speaking. A lot of my public speaking students were international students. A lot of them were from Korea, Japan, China. There was an exchange program. I also was teaching in the theater department as well, coaching plays, working with business people, working with singers. It was such a smattering of everything that I liked doing that I got to do in grad school. And it was probably during my grad school years. I'd already officially started my business during my final years in Los Angeles before I moved. But it was really in grad school, especially teaching those public speaking classes, that I started to see some really clear patterns about confidence. And also, one of the gigs that I started doing was coaching the university professors. The University of Alberta was actually kind of on the leading edge of creating online courses. And for a couple years, I was coaching. They kept creating these really cool online courses like Dinos 101, where you could learn about dinosaurs, or Mountains 101, like how do mountains get created? And these amazing professors who were experts in these fields and could lecture in front of a lecture hall of 300 people were coming to me and standing in a room with a camera and going, I don't know what to do with that thing. right? So a lot of the curriculum that you learned in the 5 days to confidence on camera, I developed actually in those rooms with those professors. And that's a really good example of people who have knowledge that is worth sharing, but just have this barrier of, what do I now do with this machine and this different medium, right? So, and then after I graduated from the University of Alberta, I moved to New York City, which I guess I always wanted to do. Back in the day, it was because I wanted to be on Broadway, and now it's because I coach Broadway actors and CEOs and other people. So anyway, I love living in New York, and I'm really happy to reach this point in my life. And it's actually, this can come in other conversations, but I'm also starting to perform again too, which is great. So I'm not just teaching and coaching, I'm also kind of moving back into that part of my life. So, okay, that's a little bit about me. And in fairness, something I want to acknowledge is that I come to this whole confidence on camera thing from a, like, having had it for most of my life naturally. But I want to really acknowledge that I know that a lot of us really struggle for whatever reason with being on camera. We feel like maybe there's literally some trauma around, you know, having had our picture taken, or just not wanting to be seen, or whatever happened in like early childhood for us. Maybe we just have issues around how we look. Maybe we have issues around our ability to speak clearly, like what we're articulating. Confidence issues can happen at every level. I mean, if I'm going full yogi on you, I can tell you they can happen in every chakra, right? Like it can have to do with our ability to relate to other people, or our own self-love for ourselves, or, you know, the fact that someone said something mean to us about something that we did, and we internalized that. So I actually do think, even though I want to be very concrete about what I'm offering you when it comes to this training and to how to use Kajabi, I do think that doing this work is actually kind of deeper spiritual work as well, that can heal yourself, because it's really just work about being seen, being willing to be seen, being willing to be heard. I didn't know that was going to come out, but that felt important to say. Okay, so yeah, and I really get that. So let's start with, Christina, let's start with your swallowing question. It's kind of a concrete one, so that sounds good. Can you unmute yourself and ask it in your own words, if you're able to?
Sure, yeah. I just noticed so I'm doing this online course, and I'm also videotaping my blog.
Okay.
So it's a fairly, I mean, so these videos might be 7, 8, some of them up to 20 minutes for my course. And I try and do it continuously. I don't break it up into pieces and then put it back together in a movie. I tape it from beginning to end.
How long are they?
Anywhere between, say, 5 minutes for a blog and maybe 20 minutes for some of the courses.
And I assume you're not putting them back together because that would require extra editing work, right? Like it just makes it easier on that end?
Well, I guess if I keep having to take it over and over again, I have chopped it once or twice, but I just feel like it's more fluid, and because it's mostly a headshot, I think that's disruptive. I've seen videos done that way, and you know, like there's a little blip there. So I try not to. Mm-hmm. But when I'm on camera for a while, then I notice that I start to need to swallow, and then I get really conscious about it. And I was just wondering if is it because I'm not maybe breathing naturally, or, that's just one of the things I've noticed.
Yeah, so that's the type of thing that I can probably give you a more solid answer if I could watch it happening. But I think you're onto something with the whole maybe not breathing, like your breathing pattern changing. So let me ask you a question that would help reveal that, which is, does your mouth get dry, or does it feel like there's a lot of extra saliva?
Maybe more like sticky.
Mm-hmm. So this actually goes to just a larger thing that's relevant to say. I don't know if I have a concrete answer to your swallowing question, but what I can say is when people are watching us, our nervous system is different. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just perceived watching with the camera. So basically, I mean, there's, science behind this, but basically our adrenaline and our cortisol go up, our stress hormones. And we can go into a version of fight or flight. And the analogy that I like to use for why this happens is, just imagine that you were a zebra on the savannah and there were two groups of lions. And one group of lions is resting in the sun, bathing, not paying any attention to you, but the other group of lions are up on their haunches looking at you. First of all, which lions are you going to pay attention to? The ones that are looking at you, right? And the reason for that is because this is very primal. You might be lunch. Like, you should probably pay attention, because at any moment they might start bounding towards you and then you could become lunch, right?
Right.
When we are being seen, or even when we perceive that we are going to be seen through the camera, and especially if it's like this, it adds the layer of unknown that it's the camera. So like, who's even going to be watching this? How many people are going to be watching this? It's like, it becomes nebulous, right? It sends our body into, so it can easily send our body into fight or flight. And when your body goes into fight or flight, it makes sense to me that like salivary glands, their function is going to change. Your pupil dilation is going to change. Your sweat glands are going to change, etc. You're familiar with that feeling, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So the weird thing that happens is that we start to feel, and this goes to the thing Steve mentioned, the robot thing, we start to feel like everything's in slow motion and time is bending and there is no time for me to swallow. People will think I'm weird if I swallow. But the truth is, there's time for you to swallow. Especially, I mean, we're doing a good example right now of having an actual real-time conversation right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed that I've probably taken 20 sips of water, I'm guessing. And I assume that doesn't really bother you and it's okay with you that I'm drinking water. So Christina, depending upon how you're filming, you can be like a human who drinks water while you're filming. And then also, this is another example of one of those moments that might start to feel weird. Like, the bottle is slowly moving toward my lips. I'm going to have to swallow if I do. Okay. Oh. Was that weird for you guys? Did it take too long? Are you frustrated with me? You get my point.
I get it.
We start to act weird because we're like, it's taking too long. I'm supposed to be doing something else. Basically, there's a ticker tape in your brain running that's going, supposed to be doing something else. Why am I not talking right now? Why am I taking time to swallow? But what I would challenge you to try, Christina, is just actually meeting the needs of your body naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And just swallow slowly, like swallow at a pace that actually helps you feel better. And then maybe even just try that as an experiment, record yourself doing that and then watch back and be like, was that so terrible? And show it to like your friends and your family and go, is that terrible that I just like took 2.5 seconds to swallow there? Do you think that's awful? And as soon as someone says, oh no, that looks pretty human and you look like you're not a robot and that's great, then you'll have, a little more awareness of that. Does that seem like a reasonable experiment to do?
Yeah, totally. And I think the key though is for me not to look at it, because I look at my video and I nitpick every eyelash, every shadow, every wrinkle, every gray hair. I'm super hyper vigilant because it's me. So having another person. Totally.
And that's part of, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that, because that is part of the mental correction that we need to do when we're working in this way. Is we need to, kind of like multiple people, when we were introducing ourselves, we were talking about practicing. We need to practice watching ourselves and realizing that what we see is not what other people see. Let me give you an analogy with this that has to do with our hearing. My voice, I'm mostly hearing my own voice right now through bone conduction. The bone conduction of my skull is making my eardrums experience my voice mostly. Like, yes, to some degree, my sound waves are bouncing off the wall and coming back to my eardrums, but I'm experiencing my voice mostly through bone conduction. Anyone else listening to me, including you guys, and granted there's also the component of the technology as well, you guys are only hearing my voice come to your eardrums. You're not hearing it through bone conduction. So my voice sounds different to me than it does to anyone else. And just to like, I hate to break it to you, but it sounds like better to me than it does to anyone else because there's more resonance because of the bone conduction. This is the reason that you press record and then you listen back to an audio recording of yourself and you go, oh my God, do I sound like that? That's not me. I hate the sound of my voice. You hate it because it doesn't sound like it sounds in your head. And that's statistically, just physiologically why that's happened. Like there's a reason for that. So the more we start to realize that our own perception is quite literally skewed, the more we can start to accept that we are human and how we look is okay. Yay, I'm glad that blows your mind, Eric. And Terry said you can also try a product design to prevent dry mouth. It might help a little. Yeah, I agree with that. Terry, that's a great idea too. Christina, you can try, I actually have a friend who made amazing lozenges called Fontis lozenges. I can send you guys a link for it on Amazon. They're made of manuka honey and green apple. And the reason for that is that manuka honey is fancy and green apple helps with salivation. So you can even just have like a green apple close by or some water with lemon, like just experiment with what works for you. Okay. But my biggest guess is that it's just, you're mostly judging yourself for swallowing. That's my biggest guess.
He's so simple.
Yeah. You gotta just like, secretly, you guys, I'm just teaching you to love yourselves. That's what we're actually working on. Okay.
Part of it.
So, okay, let's talk about email lists and funnels. Those questions go really well together. Okay, so let's see. This might have to be a back and forth conversation because I want to answer your question as you need it. So one thing to know about Kajabi, and maybe let me just click over and see, like, can I bring you guys into the back end of my account? Is that like totally secretive and crazy? I don't think so. I think I can bring you into the back end of my account. I'm going to share my screen with you. Hey, look at all the emails I've been sending recently. Most of them are 28-day challenge emails recently. So email campaigns are here on your account. And then also you're going to notice that there's something called pipelines. My pipelines are empty. The reason my pipelines are empty is because they didn't exist when I first started using Kajabi. And so I got used to kind of building them from scratch. And I now build them from scratch. But I want to just kind of show you, the 28-day challenge also will walk you through this. And by the way, you guys, especially those of you who already have a Kajabi account and didn't do the 28-day challenge, Terry, I think you said this, it's there for you. You can go, I'll show you where it is. You can go down to your, mine says Voice Body Connection because that's me. You can go to Hero University here and it's there for you. You can get all the training videos. You don't have to have signed up with it. Okay, so if you're going to create a pipeline, there's a bunch of different templates. Now, Kajabi is so good at templates. I love, and their templates are good. So feel free to use templates anytime. Some of these are going to be like, I'm giving away something for free. Or I actually forget what OVO stands for. Do you guys remember what OVO stands for? I don't remember what it stands for. Zoom webinar, free book, coaching campaign. So basically, let's say that I have a sales page. Let's say that I have a course that I want people to sign up for. The basic format they're giving me is there's an opt-in page, which is going to be a landing page. I'm going to send 8 emails getting people excited about the thing. And then here they get to the sales page and then they go to checkout. You can build anything like this on your own inside Kajabi. So like I mean, it's actually laughable the amount of landing pages I have, you guys. I both hate and love designing landing pages. Now Susie does a lot of them, but because my whole website is also made up of landing pages, which if you make a website on Kajabi, that can be a nice way to do it. But you can make a landing page, and the landing page, like here, this is what you guys saw when after you signed up for 5 days to confidence on camera, you saw the thank you page that said, yay, you're enrolled, right? So you can make things like this. You can make landing pages, email sequences. Let's go back to the emails. So email campaigns is the tab that I probably spend the most time in. And in here, you can create a new email campaign. You can either do a broadcast or a sequence. A broadcast is I'm sending an email to you guys right now. That's what I do every Thursday when I send you guys an email being like, hey, here's what's going on in voice body connection land. A sequence is something that's evergreen that like right now, so I'm doing both right now, for instance, with the 28-day challenge. There's a group of you, some of you on the line, who are literally moving it through it with me in real time, and I'm sending you a broadcast every day. But then I'm picking up the email that I send in the broadcast and I'm putting it in the sequence so that people who start it later can just get the whole sequence. Because of course, there's no way that there's no humanly possible way for me to keep track of emailing people every day the right day's content, right? So that's why we have sequences and automations and everything, and are able to build our passive income. So that gives you at least a little bit of a picture of what it all looks like. I guess I can't save it if I didn't make anything. But now let me ask, for those of you that have the questions around the funnels and the email lists, what do you want to know? Why am I having trouble clicking out of this right now? What do you want to know as far as, like, do you want to know things about how you get people on your email list, how you move them through the funnel? What further questions do we have? Steve, go ahead.
Hi. So I guess that everyone says you need to have an email list. So it's like, where do you initially start that process? You know, and then you have your reach to your different groups of people within your community. Mm-hmm. So through Kajabi, can you actually say, I just want to email these group of people?
Yeah, there's tons of segmenting that I won't bother you with right now.
Yeah, but it's possible.
Yeah, it can be like people who didn't open this campaign, or it can be people who signed up for this form, or it can be people that I tagged this way. And that's actually some of the stuff that I think does get addressed in the 28-day challenge. But it's a great question as far as starting to build your mailing list. I'm going to say some things that my mentors said to me back when I was doing all of my business coaching around this, which I still have business coaches for this stuff. But when someone who really wants to be hearing from you is gold. And it's not about quantity, it's about quality. I mean, ultimately it does become about quantity because you can have more sales if you have more people paying attention to you. But when I first started my mailing list back in like, oh God, I don't even know, like 2010 or 11 or something, when I was like, I have a business now, everybody. I emailed like the 500 or 600 people on my personal mass mailing list that I, for whatever reason, had compiled, maybe because I wanted to let them know about shows I was in. And I said, hey, everyone, I'm doing this thing. And I don't even remember exactly what I said because I don't even remember exactly what I was doing. I was probably like, I'm going to teach voice lessons in a room in Los Angeles. Come join me, right? So, and there was a quality of energy, which is really easy to go into when we're in like, I really want this to work mentality. There was a quality of energy like, you have to stay on my mailing list. I need all 600 of you. This is so important. Don't unsubscribe. Unsubscribes are one of the best things that can happen to you because clarity is one of the best things that can happen to you. Either someone really wants what you have and everything we're offering, all of us, is very specific, or someone doesn't. And if they don't, let them go live their lives. That's wonderful. So I've gotten so much more zen about this over the course of time that like the more that I just feel grateful and invested in the people who want to be here in my community, as I like to think about it, and the more I let the people go freely who don't want to be here, the better off I am. So if you have access to, maybe it's your Rolodex and you literally sit down and spend like 3 or 4 hours just being like, these have been my past clients for the last number of years. You probably will have to put some legwork into thinking about who goes on your mailing list. But then that first email you send out, I highly recommend that it is from a place of like, hey, I'm doing this thing. If you'd like to participate, you'll get these emails. And if you don't, here's the massively huge unsubscribe button that you're welcome to click. Like, don't let me annoy you if you don't want to be annoyed. Do you know what I mean? Really, really let people choose to engage with you and be your fan. And if that means that you send an email to 400 people or to 100 people and 2% of them stay on the list, great. Because when I finally embraced this as a way of building my business, like, okay, there probably was a point, I'm sure that actually a version of that happened where like I sent the email to 600 people and a handful of years later, like my list was less than half of that, right? And if I had been more free about letting them exit right away, that would have happened even sooner. But there's also this GDPR stuff that is happening in Europe that technically we should comply with because it's online, which is that you really, truly, truly have to have someone's consent to keep emailing them. So yeah, I just highly recommend starting with your super fans, even if they're not a huge group, because that's how it grows. That's how it grows genuinely and authentically. And just letting go of any sort of like, I need as many people as I can get energy. Because the more we're clear about what the people we can help, and the more that we let the people who aren't those people go away, the more those people can find us. So yeah, make some kick-ass stuff and then let 5 people watch it if it starts with 5 people. And you guys, like, I can't tell you how many classes I've taught where I'm like, I'm teaching something, especially early on and then I'm like, cool. And now I have 3 people in a room. Let's hang out. You know what I mean? And like, and the more that I didn't push, the more that I kept letting go of pushing to like make my business incredible right away, the more it just became more genuine and I appreciated it. Everyone appreciated it. So like in the amount of time we have right now, which also I'm really appreciative of how we've been spending our time, but I realize like our time is running short. Let me talk maybe a little bit more about how I can keep answering your questions is probably a good way to do this. So if you have really, really concrete questions about how to use Kajabi, then I highly recommend doing the 28-day challenge. I do think it's actually the cleanest, clearest daily tutorial through the platform. And they just redid it in 2019 too, so it's like really up to date. So the 28-day challenge is the best way to get your concrete technical questions answered about like funnels, email lists, et cetera, et cetera. And I will send you guys my link that has, only if you do it through my link will you get my email sequence in addition to theirs. You don't have to want my email sequence, but if you want it, I'll send you the link. In terms of, and I forget who was speaking to this, in terms of, so the thing that I realized as I watched the 28-day challenge, Steve, you were speaking to this some and all of us were, if you start feeling triggered on like day 4 or 5 because like they're saying now upload your videos and you're like, what videos? How do I make the videos? Terry, you go into Hero University and then the next thing, Hero University has all Kajabi's training courses and then you choose 28-day challenge inside there. To answer your question that you just typed in the chat box. So if you're feeling triggered by like, I truly, truly need more support getting myself on camera, then that's where I can help you even more. So as I've been engaging with all of you guys, and of course I created 5 days to confidence on camera and I was like, let's see how this goes. Let's see how everyone likes it. And now I'm like, oh, people like it. And also they're like, cool, can you please explain more so I can actually do this? So I've been talking, especially for those of you who have reached out to me individually, I've been talking to you. I'm like, oh, it sounds like we're going to do a class. It sounds like we need to do a class. That's one of my favorite things to do a class. I love doing a class. All of us, right? So, so what I'm going to do, and I'd love your feedback on this because I'm literally figuring it out as we speak. I'm going to teach an 8-week course is my plan. So I have one of my signature pre-recorded courses inside Kajabi is called How to Have Presence. Eric's taken it recently. It's really good, honestly, if I can say so myself. And I say that from like I think I'm sharing really useful information. And also I feel confident on camera. That's true too. Eric, do you want to say anything about like takeaways that you got and how to have presence?
Only that Yeah, I mean, there's so much to it. There's no way in the time that we have that I'd be able to talk about. I mean, it's just impossible. But, I've been sharing with Elissa how I'm going through this like rigorous interview process recently. And I've never experienced anything like this. It's just, it's for a tech company. It's crazy. So being able to go into every one of these like high level meetings and be who I am, and that's it's such a broad statement, but to really bring my entire being and then be able to have these conversations that are supposed to be 15 minutes and 20 minutes and then have them extend into suddenly it's an hour long because people are really like digging deeper and they want to know more. And I realized that's because, wow, I'm really bringing who I am, like, and that is, I mean, I can't even, the course is amazing. So
I just put you on the spot for a testimonial.
No. And it's awesome. I mean, I've been talking to so many people about it, and I still to this day, I'm like, I don't even know how to describe it. You just have to kind of go into it.
That's part of the reason I put you on the spot for a testimonial.
Yeah.
Like, how would you describe it? So here's the thing. So thank you, Eric.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
So that information is the best stuff that I've ever cultivated or know about how to transform your presence, like how to actually go from I don't want to be seen to I'm willing to be seen. That being said, the content that is contained in the pre-recorded course doesn't address all of these peripheral, like specifically we're entrepreneurs wanting to build online businesses and putting ourselves on camera stuff. So what I wanted to do is take what I already have that exists, and maybe you guys will be inspired by this and want to model this in the future for yourself as you iterate your courses. I'm going to take what I already have, use it as our homework every week, as our structure, but actually create a course where we talk specifically about putting yourself on camera and all of the related issues that go along with that. And I want to develop a curriculum that is like very incremental homework, which you guys are going to help me develop because you're going to tell me what you need. Very incremental homework around like, okay, here's the deliverable this week. We're like kind of like we started in 5 days to confidence on camera. We'll start by making videos that no one needs to see. And then we'll start sharing our videos, right? And we'll just start practicing together. So I'm thinking this is an 8-week course. Granted, it could be like a 6-month course because sometimes it just takes a lot of repetition to keep getting good at this. And I'm here to be in conversation with you about how I can support you best, but that's how I'm thinking we can start, is an 8-week course. So I will send you information about that. In fact, probably first before I send you information about that, I'll send you questions about it, about what you want to see as I'm devising the curriculum. But I'm planning on starting it relatively soon. I'm thinking that we can start, let's see, I don't know where my phone with my calendar went, but I'm thinking we can start the 3rd week of April. And I've been playing around with different times that the live meeting would happen, but right now I'm thinking Friday afternoons at like 1 p.m. So, and of course it can be the type of thing that if you can't come live, you can join, you can be in the course and watch afterwards and participate in our community. And we'll have a separate community that's specifically for us in that course. That's not like all, what is it, like 800 or 900 people right now that are in the 5 days to confidence stuff. So, yeah, so just so you guys know, that's what's coming down the pipeline. Let me know if you're interested in participating. Eric, you can just upgrade your How to Have Presence membership, and like we'll just give you the live price so that you can join us for the live part. And that's what I'm planning to do. Does that sound good? Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about that, or requests about what you'd like support with? Terry, I feel like you're unmuting. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think I understand, but just this is something where we wouldn't have to take the How to Have Presence because that'll be part of the live course.
Yeah. Don't send your How to Have Presence by itself yet. Otherwise, I'll just have to send you an upgrade link.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Like, could I start on something now, or do I wait?
No, that's a good question. You guys know how much I love Kajabi rabbit holes. Jessica, I do not have a link right now. I was actually kind of waiting. I was like, let's see how this conversation goes and what you guys say. And also there's a couple other people I've been in conversation with over the last couple of weeks who sent me like a list of what they want to learn in class. So if you guys have that, if you feel inspired to give me like an email, a brain dump of like, this is what I want to learn in class, I will 100% listen to you to the best of my ability. And it's going to be co-created anyway. Like a lot of what we just did on the line for the last hour is a lot of what class will be like, but also with a curriculum. Yeah, so it'll be really co-created. So no, I don't have a link today, but stand by in your email. Let me go into a Kajabi rabbit hole for the next 24 to 48 hours and I'll give you a link. Amazing. And by the way, you guys, I'm going to be at Impact Summit in Irvine. Kajabi's having their very first conference. I'm going to be there next weekend. I'm getting there one day late because it's conference week. I'm speaking at a conference in Boston that I'm leaving for in a couple days. So I literally do have a deadline. I have to do this for you before I start all my traveling. But yay, I'm so happy to connect with you guys. I'm so happy to be here to support you. My heart is honestly kind of exploding that, it's when you make something and people actually show up and they really want to engage with it and it becomes a two-way conversation. It feels much more authentic. It feels so much more present. I will tell you right now that I have done plenty in my lifetime with my business of shouting my voice into the ether and hoping someone hears it. And I know, and that's part of what I want to help you with this process is that doesn't feel good and it's not actually authentically present. So just by starting in a place where we're really grounded and we understand how to interact with people even across time and space through the camera, is a way of creating these spaces where people show up and really, really, really want to connect with us and learn what we have to share. So, I mean, again, Russian doll style, this feels like such a special moment. Thank you. Thanks for being on the line with me for the past hour. It is an honor and a pleasure to meet those of you who have been here, and for those of you watching afterwards, because I'll post this recording. Thank you for watching in whatever time you are, and I hope to be interacting with you even more soon. Okay, bye everybody.
Thank
Hi,
you.
thanks.
Thank you.